यशोदा नंदना जय ब्रज जन रंजना जय यमुना तीरावनचारी जय कुंज विहारी जय यमुना तीरावनचारी जय कुंज विहारी जय राधा माधवा जय कुंज विहारी जय राधा माधवा जय कुंज विहारी हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय जगन्नाथाय जय बलदेवाय जय सुभद्रा मैया जय हो सुदर्शना जय गौरांगी बेंगलुरेश्वर जय गौरांगी बेंगलुरेश्वर जय गौरांगी बेंगलुरेश्वर जय गौरांगी जय लक्ष्मी नरसिम्हा जय हो अनंत देव लक्ष्मी नरसिम्हा जय हो प्रहलाद महाराज जय वामन देव जय हो वामन देव जय गिरि गोवर्धन जय गिरि गोवर्धन जय गिरि गोवर्धन जय गिरि गोवर्धन जय शालिग्राम जय शालिग्राम जय हो शालिग्राम जय निताई चैतन्य जय हो निताई चैतन्य जय निताई चैतन्य जय गौर हरि जय जय प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव निताई गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताई गौर हरि बोल। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य स्तोत्र सत श्री श्रीमद His Divine Grace Abhay Charanaраविंद Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada की जय। ISKCON VVT Founder Acharya Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada की जय। नित्य लीला प्रविष्ट जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य स्तोत्र सत श्री श्रीमद His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada की जय। नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। भक्ति प्रदायिनी श्रीमती तुलसी महारानी की जय। गंगा माई की जय। यमुना माई की जय। प्रेम से कहो जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि श्री गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण चंद्र गोप गोपिका राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड गिरी गोवर्धन की जय। जय श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा माई श्री सुदर्शन महाराज की जय। श्री श्री गौर निताई भगवान की जय। जय श्री श्री नवदीप मायापुर धाम की जय। जय श्री श्री मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय। जय श्री श्री पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। श्री श्री द्वारकाधीश धाम की जय। श्री श्री साकेत अयोध्यापुरी धाम की जय। समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। निताई गौर सितनाथ प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतिरुत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति निष्ठिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि श्री गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. Welcome all the devotees in the morning session of Srimad Bhagavatam. And today we are going to read from chapter 12th of Canto 4th, entitled Dhruv Maharaj going back to God, back to home, back to Godhead. So under this chapter we are going to read from text number 45. Let me share my screen. So you can read from wherever you are. Dhanyam यशस्यम् आयुष्यं पुण्यं स्वस्त्ययनं महत् स्वर्गं ध्रुव्यं सोमनस्यं प्रशस्यम् अघम् अर्षणं। धन्यं यशस्यम् आयुष्यं पुण्यं स्वस्ति अयनं महत् स्वर्गं ध्रुव्यं सोमनस्यं प्रशस्यम् अघमर्षणं। धन्यं यशस्यम् आयुष्यं पुण्यं स्वस्त्ययनं महत् स्वर्गं ध्रुव्यं सोमनस्यं प्रशस्यम् अघमर्षणम्। So synonyms, translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charanavinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Synonyms: Dhanyam bestowing wealth, Yasashyam, bestowing reputation, Ayushyam, increasing the duration of life, Punyam, sacred, Swasti, Ayanam, creating auspiciousness, Mahat, great, Swargyam, bestowing achievements of heavenly planets, Dhruvyam or Dhruvaloka, Somanashyam, pleasing to the mind, Prasasyam, glorious, Agha Marshanam, counteracting all kinds of sinful activities. Translation: by hearing the narration of Dhruv Maharaj, one can fulfill desires for wealth, reputation, and increased duration of life. It is so auspicious that one can even go to heavenly planet or attain Dhruvaloka, which was achieved by Dhruv Maharaj. Just by hearing about him. The demigods also become pleased because this narration is so glorious and it is so powerful that it can counteract all the results of one's sinful actions. Purport. There are different types of men in the world, not all of them pure devotees. Some are karmis desiring to acquire vast wealth. There are also persons who are only after reputation. Some desire to be elevated to the heavenly planets or go to Dhruvaloka, and others want to please the demigods to get material profits. Herein, it is recommended by Maitreya that every one of them can hear the narration about Dhruv Maharaj and thus get their desired goal. It is recommended that the devotees Akama, the Karmis Sarvakama, and the Gyanis who desires to be liberated Moksha Kama should all worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead to acquire their desired goals of life. Similarly, if someone hears about the activities of the Lord's devotees, he can achieve the same result. There is no difference between the activities and character of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and those of His pure devotees. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakhaya Chakshur Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामने गौरतसे नमः नमो ब्राह्मणाय देवाय गौब्राह्मणाहिताय च जगद्हिताय कृष्णाय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद जय द्वैत चंद्र जय गौरभक्तवृंद वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरं Hare Krishna. So once again, welcome all the devotees in today's morning Srimad Bhagavatam session and welcome all of you on behalf of ISKCON Seshadripuram. So today we are going to read and discuss 45th verse of 12th chapter of 4th canto. So, very important chapter in terms of how Lord's pure devotees departs to home, back to Godhead. And from that perspective, in this discussion, we are going to read the translation one more time and then we will proceed. So, by hearing the narration of Dhruv Maharaj, one can fulfill desires for wealth, reputation, and increased duration of life. It is so auspicious that one can even go to heavenly planets or attain Dhruvaloka, which was achieved by Dhruv Maharaj just by hearing about him. The demigods also become pleased because this narration is so glorious and it is so powerful that it can counteract all the results of one's sinful reactions. So here Maitreya Rishi, as you know that this is the conversation between Maitreya Rishi and Vidur, Maharaj Vidur. And here Maitreya Rishi is discussing about the Shruti Phala of Dhruv Maharaj pastimes. So he's saying here that by hearing the narration of Dhruv Maharaj, one can fulfill desires for wealth, reputation, and increased duration of life. So this is the Shruti Phala of hearing about Dhruv Maharaj pastimes or narration about Dhruv Maharaj. So we know that whatever we do in life, right, it is having certain results it's bearing, right? Similarly, whenever we hear about anything for that matter, right, so it is having its own effect, right? Similarly, if we think about any material activity for that matter, it is having its own reactions, right? So in the spiritual realm also, whenever we hear about Lord's pastimes or Lord's pure devotees' pastimes, then it is having its own effect or impact. So what is that impact or effect of hearing Dhruv Maharaj pastime? Here it is being explained. And we all know that whenever we do any activity in this material world, we get the desired results sometimes, and sometimes we do not get the desired results, right? But in case of Shruti Phala, right? The Shruti Phala of the pastimes of Lord and his pure devotees is going to give you the results as per our qualification and as per our surrender to the process, right? So, in this particular verse, I'm not going in background of this because all of you are attending these classes regularly and going through all the details, right? But just to understand that how Dhruv Maharaj life is glorious will help us understanding that how a person who is having material goal can achieve spiritual goal, right? We heard about pastimes of Dhruv Maharaj and we also heard about pastimes of Prahlad Maharaj. Both are child, right? But the main difference between these two personalities is that Prahlad Maharaj, on the other hand, was totally surrendered to the Lord and he was an example of how one can overcome all the difficulties in life just by surrendering to the Lord. Whereas the Dhruv Maharaj is an example for all of us devotees who are desiring to get the ultimate aim of life, going back to home, back to Godhead. For those devotees, for devotees like us, Dhruv Maharaj is the perfect example that how one can have material desire, but still one can attain the highest perfection of life, that is going back to home, back to Godhead, just by surrendering to the process, right? Surrendering to the process defined or instructed by the spiritual master, right? So from Dhruv Maharaj's life, we can take many, you know, instructions in our life, and how we can implement those instruction, that actually going to the uh, certain extent that we can actually understand that just by following the instruction of a spiritual master, we can get perfection. So here, Dhruv Maharaj, when he went to the forest, right, as per the instruction of his mother, when he went to the forest, then Narada Muni, right, he came and he examined Dhruv Maharaj to understand that how much he is having that kind of determination, to examine the determination of Dhruv Maharaj. So Dhruv Maharaj example, I mean, is for everyone who want to succeed in a spiritual realm or any sphere of life for that matter. So now Dhruv Maharaj's life is example of determination, right? And it's not that determination which can be easily wavered by any allurement of the material world or material energy. But also, Dhruv Maharaj's life is an example of honesty. So we sometimes wonder that how come Dhruv Maharaj's life is an example of honesty. So here we see that when Narada Muni approaches Dhruv Maharaj, when he enters in the forest, by telling him that what you are going to do is not an easy task, correct, and it's not meant for child like you, right? There are many yogis, siddhas, mahatmas who are performing severe austerities, but still they haven't got what they have desired in their life. So how come you, a child, a boy in this nascent stage, can achieve the desired goal? So it's better that you go home and forget about the austerities. You don't know that you are going to face so many difficulties. You are going to see so many wild animals. You are going to encounter so many, difficulties in this process. So it's better that you go back home rather than going to the forest, right? But Dhruv Maharaj was not like any other person. He actually was honest in the sense that he understood that what Narada Muni is trying to explain him. But at the same time, since he was honest, he told Narada Muni that whatever you are saying is not sitting in my heart. Your words are not sitting in my heart. And he was so honest, right? So sometimes it so happened that we, with the sense of so-called humility, we expresses lies sometimes, right? Sometimes it happens, right? That we say what we do not feel, right? We say those things, right? Rather than saying the truth that yes, I do not understand and I'm not able to proceed, right? But here, in example of Dhruv Maharaj, he was so honest. He told that your words are not sitting in my heart. What to do? I am so much perturbed by my insult that I cannot forget. Then here, Narada Muni says that it is the forgiveness is the quality of Brahmanas or the devotees of the Lord and the saintly persons or sane persons. So you should give up this enmity or this kind of revenge mentality, and you should go back to home. Here, Dhruv Maharaj is so honest in telling the his heart's desire rather than you know making certain excuses or saying any lie, right? But when Narada Muni sees that he's so determined, then actually he gives the instruction then how he should perform the austerities, right? And here also, he was so honest. Dhruv Maharaj was so honest in implying or implementing the instructions given by his spiritual master. And there was no adulteration in the process. So, this is what we can learn from Dhruv Maharaj, that we also received so many instructions from our spiritual master, but how many times we follow them as is or without any adulteration. And here, Dhruv Maharaj also expressing his desire that I am going to the forest for material benefit. And this is one more time we can see he's so honest with his words. He's not actually quoting it with anything else to showcase that he is a great devotee or he's going to do something else, but he is saying that yes, I want a great a kingdom greater than my forefathers, and this is my desire, and for this purpose I'm going to the forest. So he is so honest in his desire, he is so honest in following the instruction of his spiritual master. And then also we see that how he is following the instruction of his elders as well, because once he attacked Alkapuri, right, and then he was killing the yakshas one by one. At that time, Swayambhavanu appeared and he actually asked him to stop the fight. So immediately he stopped the fight by hearing the instruction of his grandfather. So there are many things that we can, take from Dhruv Maharaj's life, and this is the, the Shruti Phala of hearing the Dhruv Maharaj pastime is that one can fulfill the desire for wealth, reputation, and increased duration of life. And it is so auspicious that even one can even go to heavenly planets or attain Dhruva Loka, which was achieved by Dhruva Maharaj just by hearing about him. The demigods also become pleased because this narration is so glorious and it is so powerful that it can counteract all the results of one's sinful actions. So important from the perspective of the sadhakas like us, that we have so many desires in our heart, and Prabhupada is here in the purport is saying that whether we have a karma, akam means no desire, right? Here it is saying that a devotee is who is having no desire, akama. And the karmis are ones who are having all the desires, sarva kama, and jnanis is the one who want to get liberated. So in whatever category we may fall into, we should all worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And it is so beautifully explained in Srimad Bhagavatam that akamo sarvakamo va moksha kama udaradihi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. Tivrena bhakti yogena means by with all intensity we should follow the spiritual path, which is worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then we can get all the desired goals of our life. So sometime it may happen, and it is actually the devotee may feel at some point in time that I am practicing the devotional service from so many years, and still I am having so many desires. So the desires will not going to get out of our life, artificially. But once we surrender to the process, this is what happened in case of Dhruv Maharaj's life, that he surrendered to the process given by his spiritual master. And just by surrendering to the process, not only he got the desired goal of his life, that was, gaining a kingdom which is greater than his forefathers. Rather, he got the, the perfection of life. So, from our perspective, also, we may have so many desires. We may want to achieve certain things in our life, but if we stick to the process which is given by our Acharya, by Srila Prabhupada, that chant your 16 rounds attentively and follow four regulative principles, right? So Prabhupada actually, in one of the lectures said that, if my disciples and whomsoever is following four regulative principles and chanting 16 rounds of Mahamantra daily, I guarantee that all of them will go back to home, back to Godhead. So this is the instruction given by our grandfather, or spiritual grandfather, Srila Prabhupada, that if we chant our rounds attentively, 16 rounds minimum, and follow the four regulative principle, this is the process which is given. And if we follow that with all sincerity and we surrender to that process, then there is no problem in achieving the highest goal or highest perfection of life. But the problem is that we do not have that kind of determination to follow it as is. So that how we can have it just by hearing the pastimes of Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna and his pure devotees. If we stick to the process, then there is no problem in achieving the highest goal of our life. And that required faith. And faith is so powerful. If we have faith in the words of our acharyas, words of our spiritual master, words of shastras, right? If we have that kind of faith, then that faith can only take us to the highest perfection of our life. And it is so important from the perspective of sadhakas that we need to understand that how faith plays an important role in our life. We know that when a student of first standard going to the class, and the maths teacher tells him 1 plus 1 equal to 2, right? He do not argue that why 1 plus 1 equal to 2. He's not having any kind of doubt about the whatever the teacher is telling is right or wrong. He's having full faith in the capability of the teacher, and he's having full faith in the instruction of the teacher, and he actually follows whatever is being told by the teacher. So in the process, what happens, that he understand to add simple numbers, and in due course of time, when he goes to the higher standards, then he is able to solve the complex equations as well. What was the basis? The basis was that little faith in the beginning that he was having in the teacher. So if we can have that kind of faith in the teacher or our spiritual master, then in the words of spiritual master, then we can also, not only we can understand the simple principle of spirituality, but also we can understand the complex principles of spirituality as well. So there is one small incident I want to tell you, that how faith plays an important role. So there was one person, so he was having a big fight with his wife in the home, and he decided that it is enough now and I'm going to, you know commit suicide. So what he did, that he thought that about so many methods, then he ultimately arrived on this thought that I'm going to consume poison, right? So he was so disturbed, he went to one medical shop and he asked for the poison. And the chemist, when he saw that person, he could understood that that person is having certain mental problems, because his face was so dull and he was looking so disturbed, right? So he thought that if I'm going to give him poison, then he may commit suicide. He thought about this, and what he did, he emptied that bottle, he washed that bottle with the water, and he filled it with water, and he gave that poison bottle to that person. And that person actually took that poison bottle, he went to the home, he consumed the poison, and with all surprise, he was exhibiting the symptoms of consuming poison. And the veins were coming out of his mouth, and all the family members got assembled there, and they took him to the hospital. And The doctor was surprised to see that there is no trace of poison in his body, but still he is exhibiting all the symptoms of consuming poison, right? So this is so important that he was having faith. What kind of faith? That that bottle is containing poison, and he consumed with all faith that this bottle is consuming bottle is having poison, and he consumed that with that faith. And that bottle was not having poison, but still he was exhibiting all the symptoms of consuming poison. But in our case, we are given with the nectar, with the guarantee from our spiritual master and previous Acharya and Lord Himself that this is the nectar. But still, we have doubt about this. And because of that doubt, even that bottle is having, that process is having the nectar, we are not exhibiting the symptoms of consuming nectar. So it's, and that actually the faith plays an important, that's why the faith plays an important role in spiritual life. So if a person is having all faith in the instructions of the spiritual master, then he can achieve anything in the life. So now Prabhupada is saying here that there are also person who are only after reputations. So generally people in this world are behind name, fame, and wealth, women, and whatnot, right? And Prabhupada is saying that above that, there are certain people who desire to elevate it to the heavenly planets, and someone may want to go to Dhruva Loka. This is not the desire of the devotee, right? But the devotee's desire is to serve the Lord. He do not want all these kind of uh, reputation or name or fame of or anything for that matter. Why? Because Jagatere Prastishta Shukarer Avishta. Right? So the reputation of this world is equivalent to the stool of hog. Right? So this is how the devotees consider the reputation. But that is not artificial, first of all. We cannot have that kind of thought, because we may say that, you know, this all these are bogus things. We shouldn't actually have that kind of mentality that we want to gain anything material. But in the heart of our heart, we having that kind of desire, right? So if we want to get artificial if we want to get rid of this kind of mentality artificially, then we cannot do it. But if we just keep on following the process as Dhruv Maharaj did, what he did, that he was having the desire to have a greater kingdom than his forefathers. He was having that desire, but he stick to the process, right? And at the end, we know that how he actually pleased the Lord. And when Lord actually came in front of him and he faced the Lord face to face, then all his desires vanquished. Similarly, if we actually keep faith in the process and we keep stick to the process and we keep following the instructions of the spiritual master and the acharyas, then we can also get rid of our desires in due course of time. So Prabhupada sometimes says that there will be no time when all of our desires will get fulfilled or will get purified. But we can, stick to the process. The desires will never end, but we can purify our desires, but just by sticking to the process. And here Prabhupada is saying that generally people actually follows anything or do anything to get something in this life. So there is no problem in doing so, because ultimately we are not pure yet, right? We are karma mishrit bhakt, or our bhakti is karma mishrit. It is mixed with karma. So our actions are not pure. So how we can actually think that our actions result will also be pure, correct? So when actions are pure, results are pure, but our actions are still adulterated, so we are getting the adulterated results as well. So if we are sowing the seed of mango tree, then we will get mango, correct? But if we are sowing the seed of any bitter fruit, then we are going to get that bitter fruit. There is no process in this world which can say that if you sow the seed of bitter fruit, you are going to get the sweet fruit. Similarly, in spiritual life, if we want to get the desired result, then we have to follow, and we have to you know follow the words of our acharyas. And that's so important, because here in Dhruv Maharaj's life, he actually followed the instructions of his spiritual master word by word, without any deviation. And that is what is required to get the ultimate aim of the life, or the perfection of the life. It's not that easy, but still, by the grace of the Lord, we can actually get the same result what Dhruv Maharaj has received after following the instructions. So Prabhupada is saying here that similarly, if anyone hears about the activities of Lord's devotee, he can achieve the same result. So what a process it is, right? Can we imagine that just by hearing about the activities of Lord or his devotees, we can achieve the same results? And Prabhupada is saying there is no difference between the activities and the character of Supreme Personality of Godhead and those of us pure devotees. So there is no difference. And that's why when we hear about Lord or his pure devotees, we get the same result. And hearing is the very important process, because other processes actually having their importance, but hearing is the topmost process. By hearing, what happens that our antahakaran, they say antahakaran, antah means inner, and karan means ear. So inner ear actually, when it hears about the Lord, then, because whatever is going in the heart is true, that antahkarana or inner ear. So if we are pouring nectar in that antahkarana or inner ear, then our heart will get purified, our consciousness will get purified, and the time will come when our desires will also get purified, because the chitta vritti we say, right? The chitta vritti, chitta is nothing but it is the treasure of, or you can say it is the storehouse of thoughts, right? And there are innumerable thoughts in our chitta, right? Because from time immemorial we are in this material world, and with each life we are accumulating so many good bad thoughts, right? And when we hear about Lord and his pure devotee, it is like nectar, right? So imagine a pot filled with Karela juice, right? Or bitter gourd juice, right? And if you want to convert this bitter gourd juice or Karela juice, right, into sugarcane juice, what is the process, right? The one thing is that you keep on adding sugar to it, right? The other one is that you, when you are adding it, there is a 5 liter cane, suppose, right? And you add 1 spoon of sugar cane juice, or sugar into the bitter gourd juice. What will happen? It will not going to lose its bitterness, right? But if you keep on adding, then one the day will come that when the whole juice will become sweet, right? Similarly, suppose there is a can which is filled of blue water, right? and you want that water to be clean, then what is the process? You keep on pouring the pure water into it, right? And the day will come, or the time will come, when all the water inside that pot, which is blue, will get out of the pot, and the place will be taken by the pure water or the crystal clear water. So similarly, if we keep on pouring nectar in our heart, right, then all the anarthas, right, unwanted things, anarthas are nothing but unwanted things. So if we keep on pouring Hari Katha, if we keep on pouring Hari Bhakta Katha, means Lord's pastimes and Lord's pure devotees' pastimes. If we keep on hearing, then actually we are pouring nectar into our heart or our antakaran. And then the chitta, which is full of, so many impressions from, immemorial time, right? We are accumulated so many things, right? We cannot even count. So those bad thoughts will get replaced by the nectar of Harikatha. And that is the beauty of Shravanam. So we keep on hearing about Lord's pastimes, we keep ourselves busy with the Nam Rupa Leela Guna of Lord, then the day will come when our Chitta Vritti will also get purified. It will become nectar one day. But the but only one condition we need to follow, and that is we keep on hearing about Lord and Lord's pure devotees. And in the due course of time, we will achieve whatever is, we have desired in our life. So, not only that, but here in this case of Dhruv Maharaj, we saw that not only he achieved his desired goal, but also he got the perfection of the life. He went back to home, back to Godhead. So, similarly, in our case, we are full of anarthas in our heart, and we have so many desires, and still we want to go to home, back to Godhead, then this is the only process by which we can also become successful. So now, in this chapter, the Dhruv Maharaj is a wind up of the pastimes, and he's going back to home, back to God, as being explained. And in this in this particular verse, we read about the Shruti Phala, right? The fruit of, or the result of hearing about the pastimes of Dhruv Maharaj is being explained here. So with that, I will end my discourse here. If you have any questions, then you may ask.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dhanavad.
Yeah, thanks for the wonderful class, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, like as you were very nicely explaining that the all the hurt in the heart will go as we hearing Krishna Katha, Leela, whatever it is. So just a curiosity because the bad thoughts and other things they keep popping up always. So so how much time it will take, Prabhuji? Because irrespective of hearing classes, chanting, still that negative thoughts and other things keep popping up. So can you please help me in this regard?
Yeah, yes, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhuji, for asking this question. So you asked that, we keep on having the bad thoughts, right? And we are still following the spiritual path. Then how much time it will take us to get purified, right? So that actually, in as we were discussing about Dhruv Maharaj, we saw that in Dhruv Maharaj's case, he achieved the perfection of life in 6 months, right? And the similar fashion, it can happen in our case as well, right? But that actually depends upon our sincerity, dedication, and surrender, right, to the process, to the instructions given by the spiritual master, right? If we are so much dedicated, we are so much sincere, and we stick to the process, then there is no problem in achieving what we want to achieve in that time. But coming back to your question, is that how much time it will take? So time, again, the time depends upon our sincerity and how much we associate with the devotees of the Lord. So sometimes we take, misunderstood the association part by having the bodily association. But the most important is that by vapuha, or by by vapuha it may not be possible, then we should actually stick to the vani, right? So vani is something, the words, that's why the shravanam is so important, right? Because you may not have a devotees association 24 hours a day, right? But you can have devotees association, your Lord's Pure Devotees Association or Lord's Association 24 hours a day, just by reading Srimad Bhagavatam or hearing the lectures of Acharyas. We can have that association 24 hours a day. And we can actually immerse ourselves in Lord's pastimes, right? So, one time it so happened that one person was given the task that you should bring water. You should fetch water from the river and keep bring that water to ashram. So this was the task given to the one person by one rishi, that you take this pot and fetch water from the river, right? And he went to the river. He came back, but there was not even a single drop of water in the pot. Why? Because that pot was filled with all holes. So many holes were there in the pot. So even if you go to a pure river, uh, you know and you fetch the water from the river with this pot, you can't even bring even a single drop of water, right? But if you, then the then the question comes, then how you can bring water, right? So there are two options. The first option is that you fill all the holes, yeah, right, you cover all the holes. Or one thing is, you cannot do this, right? The one thing is, you can't keep on filling all the holes. That is not possible, right? If you keep on doing this, it will take a lot of time to do that, correct? Then the second option is that you remain in there, right? In that way, you may say that the task is not getting fulfilled. But the only idea that we can take from this example is that if we immerse ourselves, our consciousness in the nectar, then it can remain there forever, right? Because the very nature of this material world is so, right, that it is going to disturb you. And that's why Lord is saying that देवेश गुणमयी मम माया दुरतया मामेव ये प्रपद्यन्ते माया में ताम तरन्ति ते. So just by immersing ourselves in the nectarian water, because our buddhi, our intelligence is not fixed, and that's why Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, right? What Lord says, that व्यवसायत्मका बुद्धि एकः कुरु नंदन बहुशाखा ह्यंतश्च बुद्धयो अव्यवसायिनाम. Right? So what does it means? That those who are on the path, on this spiritual path, and if they are resolute in purpose, right, and their aim is fixed, right, then Lord is saying that, oh Arjuna, the intelligence of those who are resolute, irresolute is many branches, right? So we have to become, this is one of the quality of Dhruv Maharaj, that he was resolute in his purpose and his aim was one, right? And in our case, if we want to stop the thought process, that is not possible, because the very nature of mind is to think, right? Is keep on dwelling in the thoughts. That's the nature of mind, that you cannot stop. And the very nature of this material body is what? Dukhalayam or Shashvatam, right? So both are not under control, not in our control. And our control is that we can actually shape our thoughts by associating with the pure devotees of the Lord. If we can do that, and if we can immerse our consciousness 24 hours a day in the nectarian pastimes of the Lord, then the day will come when our desires will get purified, our chitta will get purified, and then we can also be able to achieve the highest perfection of our life. But the time depends totally upon our dedication, sincerity, and surrender. Does that answer your question, Godan Prabhu?
Yes, yes, Prabhuji, very nicely explained, Prabhuji. Yes, thanks in that. So that sincerity and other things only, it will also come only when the proper Shravanam and proper like proper surrendering to the Guru, and only then it will come. I'm right, Prabhu.
Correct. And moreover, the most important aspect of devotional service is association, right? So we know that, fire can actually burn any wood, right? But fire can burn wood, but if the wood is wet, right? Then what will happen? Correct. So it is not going to burn, uh, you know, as same as the dry wood, right? The wet wood will take more time, correct? Because first of all, the fire will, evaporate the water in the wet wood, then it will become dry, and then it will start burning. So if someone asks that how much time it will take for a wet wood to burn, can someone answer that question? Yes, one can answer this question by that how much time a wet wood remain in contact of fire, that time is required for that wood to get burned, right? So if we can remain in contact with the pure devotees of the Lord, then our all anarthas, right, will one by one will get evaporated, and the day will come when we will be having the same fire, right, in our heart as well.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thanks, Hare Krishna. Danda Pranam. Jai.
कृष्ण अमर पुराण श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। श्रील गुरुदेव की जय। समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। निताई गौर से तनात प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। थैंक यू वेरी मच। हरे कृष्णा।